when nothing's trying to grow. Yeah, that's, as a farmer, that's pretty depressing. You are now watching Farming with Duffy Ag. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're actually gonna do a little bit of farming stuff, and we're hanging out with Amy from Source and Frank, and we figured we'd come down and check out his beans that got sprayed with Source, and can't really do a comparison yet till he actually gets in and harvests it. But if you guys remember, flew the drone out in here, and all the beans are actually changing and they're drying down. So what'd you say, 4 years ago you had beans out here, and this year this was all no-tilled in, and we split down left side to the right side, so we got some comparison there. But how far off you think you are from this?
If we get a frost this weekend, probably next week.
Frost will kill the rest of any of greenage to it. Those look pretty good though. So on a year where we lacked all the moisture, I'd say no-till is definitely paying off. And it only gets better as we go further out. So we're up in the front here. So what are you looking at? How many pods? What is it? Three beans in a pod is normal?
Yeah, 4. There's some 3, mostly 3s on these, and some 4s. I don't know.
We're gonna steal some.
Good.
We're gonna steal some of your yield here. So you got your pod, and then you got a soybean, and usually 3 or 4 in there, and that's really what you're looking for. So all the leaves, they're dying off, dropping off, then you get left with the plant.
They don't usually lean quite like this, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Tall plants.
Yeah. Tall plants.
You mess around with the populations at all? Like?
Yeah, I mean, I think our target here was 160. We planted with the drill,
Knowing it was going to be probably drier.
Yeah.
Just because how the year was going.
Yeah. And, you know, part of them leaning over where they're narrow row beans, they kind of tend to go up instead of push out. So, I mean, you could have some of that laying over into that.
This was all planted on 7.5s?
Yep, 7.5.
With the Great Plains drill?
Yep.
What would be like a yield goal that you'd be happy with?
I mean, I'd be pretty satisfied with 60 bushels. It'd be pretty good, you know, probably a little bit above average for the area. We have had beans that are a lot closer to 80. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Years that it's rained?
Yeah, and years that it rains.
Yep.
But, you know, if these are 50 bushels with no rain, or, you know, 60 would be great, 50 would be good enough, I think. Because without
Jesse,
you definitely save some
Moisture.
Yeah, you save moisture and you save 1 or 2 passes, and that adds up. It's $2 or $5. When it was sprayed, so then when we finally did get some rain and they kind of came out of dormancy, the herbicide wasn't effective. And the other thing is that probably some of the herbicide just didn't get taken into the plants because there wasn't enough moisture to carry it through the soil or whatever. Because it's...
You've seen that in everything?
Yes, the lamb's quarters in the corn on one of the other farms is real bad. It wasn't like every weed, it's just some things are a little bit more prevalent than others this year.
Yep. So we're really just on tour today, hanging out, seeing things, crop touring. Want to give us a rundown of what is coming next year? As far as...
Sauce?
Yeah.
Sauce corn. Coming back out. We got soybean new formulation, so it's not going to be as sticky coming out of the jug.
Going to be able to pour it a little bit later.
Like a dream. We got a new formulation source DC for this area. Will be alfalfa, grass hay, wheat, and then for cotton. So that's limited release.
So we're gonna have to do some next year, Frank, as far as wheat, and really give you guys a little indicator of what's going on. But now we're into some corn.
This is probably the driest field here.
And you've started some corn harvest.
Yep.
But it's been dry.
Yeah, dry and not good.
What are you growing here, Frank?
What's that?
Pioneer,
This is, we're like 95% pioneer.
For being dry.
Yeah, no complaints for being dry.
That's ready to rock and roll, ain't it?
16. Yeah, it's ready.
You better get going.
Yeah, right? It won't be long.
No.
See, where we walked in that's pure sand. That dries right out.
Yeah. And then up here, you get into...
Nothing really wrong with this.
No. Weed control looks good.
Yeah.
Ears look good. You guys got to remember, it did not rain for...
8 or 9 weeks.
Yeah. Weeks and weeks and weeks. So when you're getting airs like that, after a year like that, that's damn good. So what do you usually average for corn yields?
On this particular farm, on a good year, we can be in the low 200s, like 200 to 225. Maybe.
And that's bushels, not tons. Bushels, people.
On an average year, probably 200 on this farm. And then this year, I don't know. We'll see how it all looks. But I mean, from what we've seen so far, it should be at least pay the bills.
Yeah.
Not gonna break any records, but
no. But I don't think anybody broke any records this year. Like,
it was one of the most even crops coming out of the ground that we've had in a while.
yeah. Spring was really, really good actually to get it in, but
yeah, this was in probably at least a full week earlier than it normally would be in on this farm. This is like a June 1st is when you can guaranteed start.
yep.
This year I think we were done planting entirely like June 1st. So.
And then
Back in with like a side dress, or have you...
Yep, this all gets side dressed with 32% with a knife applicator. I want to say we put 75 units down with the applicator and 100 at planting. Worked in, spread dry fertilizer, disc it.
So you're at like 175 with a 200 bushel goal. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty good dirt. If we have a wet year, it's wet.
yeah, the river runs right up to it.
Yeah.
Duffy's seen some pretty gnarly mud over here.
We chopped it the one year and it was standing water in it after.
Yeah, and then remember those, I think it was 5 years ago, that front field that's corn,
Yep.
there was beans in that were entirely underwater 1st of October, and we harvested them, I think, 2nd or 3rd week of October. Like, I'm talking beans like that, pretty much entirely underwater.
Yeah. Mother Nature in the river can't control that.
Well,
You think it had a little bit of a stress?
yeah, I think it had a little bit of a stress.
So it started building, and as you see, it's all stressed from here on up. They all like that?
I think a good part of this side's going to be like that. The further you go that way,
The more water.
the more groundwater there is.
Look at that.
Is that because of lack of moisture during tassel?
As it's building, yeah, instead of
building the ear.
tip stress, so that has to happen earlier on.
Yeah,
Because usually when it's tasseled, the end of it would, what is it, terminate when it fulfill itself.
Yeah.
like we don't have any tip back really to speak
That's what I'm
of.
saying. The other field didn't either.
Yeah,
So
it knew what it was going to build, and then, but this was all previously, so. I mean,
stress early on.
yeah,
That'd probably be what, like V6?
I would think so.
Like,
We should get an expert.
yeah, I'm not an expert.
We should.
I should be more of an expert, but I'm not.
That's wild, though.
Yeah, I've never really seen that. That's gonna be fun to combine.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be a little more interesting. Are you wet?
Ankle feet. Just enough to make a mess.
Yeah.
Right.
What would you have done differently here? Anything?
Probably sprayed it a little earlier, and that's about it.
Danced a little more for rain?
Yeah.
So
Pump some water.
we'll have to be back here when you do this, and we'll get some action.
Yeah.
See some differences and get some harvest action. So we're gonna go check out another field, see what it looks like. So Frank had to keep working because we're taking time out of his day, and you know, Frank is a father, so he's got to get done at some point and go back and, you know, do dad things. But we're gonna jump down here, check out some of his other beans, just to see a comparison as far as that stuff was no-tilled, better conditions as far as moisture up there compared to where we're going down here, and this stuff was all conventional tillage, and it did not get sprayed with any sort of spot. Can't really compare side by side that way, but we figured we're bouncing around, we'll go check it out and see. This spring we actually stopped in this field when we came down and talked to Frank, and the beans were coming up and out of it. Keep in mind, this is some dry area, and this is it. Like, there's soybeans in here, but nothing compared to, like, as he says, this is the worst field they got for soybeans. They have started combining corn just because, well, it's ready to go, but it never rained. And this ground is, yeah, dry. So this all did get sprayed, everything, but as Frank was saying, spray doesn't take effect when it doesn't actually rain, when nothing's trying to grow. Yeah, that's, as a farmer, that's pretty depressing. We're back at Frank's. Yeah, Yanko hung out here just because he likes to party. And since where we were, they actually do pheasant hunting, and yeah, might be a little interesting having a dog run around as people are doing pheasant hunting. But we're gonna check back in with Frank. We're gonna get some actual harvest action. I don't think I've ever been part of soybean harvest, so we'll probably join along for that and see what we got for yields. So pretty excited for that, but appreciate you guys watching. A little short video, show you guys some insight of what drought conditions will really actually do to crops growing. Like that soybean stuff we actually got into, that stuff was good. So appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.